want to tell you more about Brian Kurtz, who is here to give our message today. And he is a healer, a teacher, a writer, a speaker, and he's a prayer chaplain at Unity Church of the Hills in Austin, Texas, and the receiver of the Healed by Spirit modality. Brian has refined the Healed by Spirit modality for the last 35 years. Wow, you must have started really young. Yeah. And what comes through him, as him, not from him, touches our hearts and our souls. Brian was here last September, bringing his healing sessions, his soul connection workshops, and healer's class to Santa Fe and Albuquerque. And he is back to share with us today. Yay, Brian. Let's give him a big hand.
What this conversation is all about is literally gaining access to your own soul. Unity teaches us that we are divine beings. That is what we are. Thank you, by the way, for that, because that's what's left from that. Unity teaches us in the second and third principle, basically, we are divine beings. We are souls. We are made of God stuff. And we are made in God's image. That doesn't mean God looks like a human. It means at our essence, at our soul level, we look like that. We are literally made of God stuff. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the third principle is about creating our life from our thoughts and our feelings. And what this conversation is all about is giving you access to that in a way that's really easy. Well, not easy, but simple. It's kind of like love everybody. Really simple, not easy. So all of the great messages, I believe, that Jesus ever taught, or Buddha ever taught, or any of these guys that had that coming through them as them to touch those around them, is that all of the really great messages are simple, not easy. So what I'd like you to do is just to be with this conversation. It's nothing new. I mean, you're Unity people, right? So I know you're going to have heard everything I'm going to tell you this morning. What I'm going to ask you to do is to listen and see with what I call vacation ears and vacation eyes. You know, you go on vacation, it's like, wow, you know, this is so cool. And, you know, it's just, you've seen it. But it's special because you're making it special. So what I'm going to ask you to do this morning is kind of play along with that and just be with me on it. So the essence of the conversation is we have a body, we have a brain, we have a soul, and we don't always know what to do with any of them. And the thing is, what we are is a soul sourcing a body that has a brain in it that's pumping out thought. Like our stomachs are pumping out stomach acid, and our heart's pumping blood, and our lungs are pumping air. Our brains do a lot, of course. They do a lot of other stuff. But for the purpose of the conversation, the brain is the vital organ in the body that's pumping out thought. Okay? So your brain's out there pumping out thought, and it's got thoughts, and it's got thoughts about the thoughts, and thoughts about the thoughts about the thoughts, and judgments and evaluations about the thoughts about the thoughts. And the thing is, we think it's us. We think that's us. We think our brain is us. But it's really not, because what happens is your brain, I mean, your heart actually is in the womb. The heart starts first to develop, and then the brain follows soon thereafter. But from the moment the brain is able to start to do what it does, it's gathering input and processing and noticing and all this stuff. Then you pop out of your mom, and all of a sudden there's lights and sounds, and somebody slaps you on the butt, and you're breathing, and it's like, whoa! And your brain just gets into this ultra-fast, being aware of everything going on, and what your brain is doing as it's noticing is sorting and analyzing and categorizing so that it can store it all for later. The brain is a huge supercomputer. It's the most amazing supercomputer ever made. But it's not you. It's just a vital organ in your body pumping out thought. So what I want you to notice is that you have a brain pumping out thought. So what I'd like us to do, I'd like everybody to repeat a sentence back to me. Just play along with me on this one. I am noticing the thoughts my brain is generating.
I am noticing the thoughts my brain is generating.
Good. Say it again.
I am noticing the thoughts my brain is generating.
Good. So, volunteers in the audience, if you have the courage in the moment, who is the I that you just mentioned that is noticing the thoughts that your brain is generating? Yeah, I mean, thank goodness for unity congregations where people kind of get that. I do this and people's kind of eyes kind of roll, what did you say? But yeah, it's like there's a part of you that is the you that's you, that is able to notice the thoughts your brain is generating. And in that noticing the thoughts your brain is generating, you're actually not only separating yourself from the mind chatter, but you're grounding yourself in this other place, just outside your brain, where the you that is you can notice the thoughts your brain is generating. You with me so far? I'm going to keep checking in. I know you're probably getting it, but I just want to make sure that you're here, okay? So, you've got this brain that is generating thought. And what you may begin to notice, as you're noticing all of these thoughts that are moving a million miles an hour, you've got thoughts and thoughts about the thoughts and all of this, is you may realize at some point that while you're being the noticer of the thoughts your brain is generating a million miles an hour, you are, when you're being the noticer of that, by definition, in a place of stillness, watching your brain move a million miles an hour. But we don't stop and think about that. We're just in the middle of moving around, right? So what I want you to be is the noticer. And your homework for the rest of your life, I'm serious, because magical stuff happens if you do this. Just be the noticer of the thoughts your brain is generating. Okay? It's kind of like you're standing at the corner of 599 and 25 at rush hour. Okay? And what I want you to do is, there's a lot of cars going by, right? I don't want you to get out into traffic. I just want you to stand safely on the corner and notice the cars go by. That's how I want you to notice your thoughts. Just, there's a blue Ford, and a yellow Chevy, and a red Pontiac, and a silver Mercedes, not a silver Mercedes, just blue Ford, yellow Chevy, green Oldsmobile, whatever, right? That's the way I want you to notice your thoughts. Let them come up, let them fall away. Let them come up and let them fall away. And the more of this you do, the more you can get used to being in the stillness place, watching your thoughts go by. Now, why is this important? Well, you got thoughts and thoughts about the thoughts, but what happens is, if you don't consciously, intentionally release the thought, after about 15 seconds, if you're not consciously releasing, in other words, if it's unconsciously sitting there, or just simmering, flashing, after about 15 seconds, your brain begins to generate a chemical corresponding to the thoughts. So your brain is generating happy chemicals, or sad chemicals, or disappointed chemicals, or frustrated chemicals, or whatever, angst chemicals. And if you start getting to fear chemicals within about 15-20 seconds, your body starts to react to that. Next thing you know, your adrenals kick in, and your heart rate changes, and and you go into fight or flight or freeze up or whatever, or you can just let the thought go. Because if you notice that you can notice that you're not your brain generating all of that thought, but the noticer of it, then when you have a fear thought and let it go, you have actually had the fear thought. It hasn't had you. So this is a really powerful place to be. Now here's another thing about this. The more of this noticing you're going to do, and all these chemicals you're actually avoiding, the more of these thoughts you notice that you can notice, you'll start to notice, you know, there's thoughts and thoughts about the thoughts in this life aspect. And the more you practice this noticing and releasing, I'm not asking you to step into traffic, I'm not asking you to tell the guy to slow down or go faster, he's got a cool car, a piece of junk, or just let these thoughts come and go, but be the noticer of all of them. Be the noticer of all of the thoughts your brain is generating. Start to study it. Start to become familiar with it, and you'll start to notice that these thoughts start to group together in groups, life aspect groups. So I've got, like, my 17-year-old son thought grouping, and I've got thoughts about his school and his music and how brilliant he is and his computer stuff. And then I'll have my 28-year-old son, who's also a brilliant musician and living in New York as a jazz guitarist, and he's going to be going on tour soon. I'm going to see him. It's so cool. I'm very proud, Daddy. And I've got my girlfriend thoughts, and she's wonderful, and she's here. And then I got all this other stuff going on that I can be with. And as I notice all these thoughts and be diligent in the noticing, they all kind of group together in these groupings that I can become so familiar with. It's like I'm holding them up in a Ziploc bag, right? I call them thought packets. So I've got this thought packet, and this thought packet, and my sweetie thought packet, and my healed by spirit thought packet, and my unity prayer chaplain thought packet. And I've got all these thought packets that I've diligently noticed and grouped and seen how they all come together. But the cool thing about that is that if all these thoughts are out here where you can see them, none of them is taking up residence in your body as dis-ease. So just by being the noticer of the thoughts your brain is generating, you're not only separating the you that's you from all the mind chatter, but you're inherently keeping yourself in a healthier place, not letting all these chemicals go wild in your body. And let's face it, in the world that we're living in right now, I don't know where you are along the line of conspiracy theory or whatever, but there seems to be a whole lot going on that influences us to keep us in that place of right? And so if we're in that place of and we don't let that go, we live in it, and our stomachs are, and next thing you know, our resistance is down, and disease is up, and the pharmaceutical companies are coming at you. I don't want to get off, but you get the idea, okay? So you've got all these thought packets out here, all these things that you're noticing that you can notice that you're noticing. The next piece is, as you notice all of this stuff, you're going to notice issues that come up. You may not want to admit it here in church, but I don't know about you, I've got some, okay? I'm just another human, we've all got our stuff that got us to here. But in the stuff, no matter what it is, anger, frustration, disappointment, pain, angst, any issue your brain might want to generate that you can notice, you'll notice that there's always a point A and a point B. What? Yeah. Every issue you've got has a point A and a point B. Point A is, this is what I think is about this situation, this person, this place, this thing. This is what I think is about that. Point B is what I think I prefer instead of point A. And that distance, I don't care if it's this much or this much, the distance defines suffering. There is suffering to some extent if there's a point A and a point B. And the intensity of the point A to point B in that space, how much intensity there is between that is how much we care. And this can apply to anything. This could apply to any unmet need or unmet preference or unfulfilled expectation. I'll just pick out time, for example, okay? So say I'm supposed to be here at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to meet with Karen for a cup of coffee. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Well, I'm going to be coming from Albuquerque. I may be a few minutes late. We have a meeting at the coffee shop that's going to happen at about 3 o'clock. The distance between the time we agree upon, and if there is a distance, say I'm late 5 minutes, that distance is 5 minutes. I would promise I'd be there. What is so is, it's 3:05 and Brian's not here yet. The preference is that Brian had gotten here at 3 o'clock. Now, if there's no real big deal on how much I care about that distance, okay, I'm coming in from Albuquerque, I'll be there at 3:05. 3:06 shows up, I walk in, and everything's happy. Now, if Karen's asked me to officiate her wedding at 3 o'clock, and it's 3:05, it's a big deal. And she's like, right? If she's not happy, and I'm freaking out because I'm running late, and I'm cutting people off in traffic, right? Or I can just notice that the distance that I care about is more intense because I care about it. I'm not asking you to not care. What I'm asking you to do is to notice that you care about what you care about. And you notice that there is a point A and point B. And the cool part about noticing about any issue, if you get to the point of noticing, oh, well, what is the point A and what is the point B? If you begin to dig into what is the point B, you'll uncover the unmet need or unfulfilled expectation or whatever the preference is that's not happening. Which is a really pretty powerful place to be, because in the noticing, you ground yourself back in the noticer place and out of this place. So be with that for a minute. If you can notice what the point B is, the power's back in your hands. And it's back here, not here. See, there's this neural network that science is now coming up with. They're actually calling it a second brain. 5,000 times more electromagnetic energy in this neural network, in the heart and the gut, excuse me, versus this one. Also, this thing requires that everything be sorted and analyzed and categorized so that it can store for future use. It's a computer. This is not. This just knows. If someone says, what does your heart say? What does your gut say? I mean, you're Unity people, you know this, okay? But if you're human, we're not wired up to immediately go there. We're wired up to go here. So we have to practice the stepping back and looking at that and noticing it for what it is. It's just your brain generating thought, meaning nothing in particular necessarily. And I'm not saying don't use your brain, okay? Like to get here, I had to know where to turn left and drive and how far down before I turn right and how far to turn in again, and then I'm at Unity Way and then I turn right into the, you know, I need my brain for that. When you come to the fork in the road, you need to know with your brain which way I turn left, right, which way do I go at the fork in the road. But when you come to the fork of a road in life, check in here. And again, we're not wired up that way. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes effort. But you can't do this if you practice, okay? So we've got this point A, point B thing. The next thing, as you continue to work with these issues, is I think there's 3 ways to work with any issue. I can work to resolve the issue. If I can't resolve it, I'm going to refine who I'm going to be about the thing I can't resolve. And if I work to resolve it and can't, and I've refined to the greatest extent possible, and I still have stuff that I'm carrying around about it, it's time to release that. So I'm going to go into a little detail on this. You got resolve, okay? Now the way we normally are about things when we're trying to work on resolving them is, well, it is what it is, you know, I've done some stuff, and okay, it is what it is. But that it is what it is not really it is what it is. If it really was it is what it is, it would be acceptance of it is what it is. But that's not the way we are. What we're really saying is, this is jacked up! And I don't like it, and I'm totally resigned to that's the way it is, and it's a negative, it's not a neutral. Ugh! I mean, all I got to do is look at Washington, D.C. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's jacked up. It's full of messiness. What it does, however, if I can notice what I'm thinking about that, growth can happen in the point A and point B. This is what this guy said yesterday. This is what this guy did yesterday. This is what I prefer instead of what that is. What's the point B? And I can notice what my values are and get more grounded in the me that's me as contrasting that. What Washington, D.C. is, the gift that Washington, D.C. is right now, is that it's providing us with contrast. It's a big values clarification exercise. Okay? I don't care where your values lie, but hopefully it's allowing you in the or hey, or whatever it is you think about that, to notice that you can notice that. And ground yourself more profoundly, deeply grounded in the you that's you. So if you can get out of the who is, then you can actually work toward resolving the issue, and you can see this is what I would prefer to have happen. What's happening right here, right now, is this, which is not that. But if you can get your nose off the grindstone, you know that expression? If you can rise up above the situation a bit, you can see, okay, I'm 5 steps into a 2-mile walk. But at least I can know from that perspective, I'm 5 steps into a 2-mile walk, and then there'll be some ditches to go through, and some hills to go over and around, and I may have some mud to trudge through, whatever. But eventually I'll get to the resolution place. And I can stay focused on the what. Now here's the next thing. This is really important to get. if you can focus on the what and let God take care of the where, when, why, how, that's a lot easier. But we're not wired up that way, because this needs to know the where, when, why, how. And I mean, the more you care, the more urgent it gets that you've got to know the where, when, why, how. It's the way we're wired up. We need to know. I was watching this guy, John Mundy. Do you know him? He's one of the great A Course in Miracles scholars. He knew the folks that wrote the book, that channeled the book early on. He's this brilliant A Course in Miracles guy. And he had just spent like 2 hours in this magnificent lecture at Unity Church of the Hills, and there's a whole bunch of people in the room. And I'm just like, whoa, this guy's amazing. And after having all of this insight poured over us, some lady in the back asked this question that was like, well, how do we know if it's this or whatever, right? And he looked at her and he said, who wants to know? And it's just like, I need to know why. Who wants to know? What part of you wants to know, has to know, needs to know the where, when, why, how? Notice that. I got a client that is all over the, Brian, and I'll say, notice that. Brian, right? It's not fun to notice that you can notice what you're noticing about this when once you get a handle on, that's not you, this is you. But you can work toward resolve the issue. Now, say you can't resolve the issue. I had an ex-wife. God bless her, she's doing the best she can. There's some dysfunction I wasn't very happy with. I couldn't stay there anymore. It really hurt to leave my son there. It's all come out fine in the wash over the last decade or so, but I couldn't resolve that. There was dysfunction that was not going to resolve. I had to leave. So over the last decade, it's been a refine who I'm going to be about the thing I can't resolve. I couldn't resolve it, but I can refine who I'm going to be about it. So a decade ago, we'd be on the phone about when can I pick our son up, and she would be, and it's like, look, I don't want to go there. Oh, yeah, so look, either calm it down or I'm going to hang up. Oh, yeah, click. And I would hang up. And I would look up at God and say, what the heck? When is this going to get better? What's up? Why is this happening to me? Well, now I know this point A, point B thing. And I realize she's just being who she is. People used to say, oh man, you're letting her push your buttons. My buttons are based on my wounds and my life issues, and they're all my buttons based on my stuff, and I wired them up. She's just over there being who she is. I'm pushing my own buttons. Once I know that, now we fast forward a decade, she's still who she is, but I've learned a little bit. So now she goes into this, and it's like, look, I don't want to go there. Oh yeah, and so look, you need to calm down, I'm going to hang up. Oh yeah, and then it click, and I hang up. But now I go click, and I say, God, this is not what I prefer. And God says, yeah, I know, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, it could be better. But I know that. I know that. So you can resolve it, or you can refine who you're going to be about it. But then occasionally there's going to be stuff you've done all you can to resolve, and all you can to refine who you're going to be, and there's still stuff. January last year, I lost my dad. We'd spent years working on our stuff, and it was beautiful the last 7 or 8 years. And then I lost my mom 3.5 weeks later, and it was brutal. She was this little Southern belle from northeast Louisiana, which is kind of like South Arkansas or West Mississippi. And it took her 5 minutes to say, hi, honey. And I miss it, okay? That's not going away. But I can learn to release that. So I'm going to show you release. You ready? Watch closely. Got the keys. Watch. This is release. Okay? Now, in case you missed it, I'm going to show you again. Watch closely. Palm down, hand out. That's release. Now, notice I didn't have to check in with my thumb and say, is it okay? Or my index finger, how are you going to do that? Or my middle finger, well, what are people going to say about it? Or my ring finger, you know, it didn't work the last time. Or, you know, I didn't have to. This is all brain-generated stuff that keeps us from releasing. The way you release is by releasing. Now, if you're trying to release, it doesn't work very well, okay? Forgiveness is release. If we can forgive, we're not letting any of the conditions, you know, I mean, when the smart guy went up to Jesus and said, Jesus, this forgiveness thing is hard. How many times are we supposed to forgive? Jesus said 70 times 7. Now, the message was not, okay, you get to forgiveness number 490, and on 491 you go kick his butt. No! It's about forgiveness. It takes time. It takes as long as it takes, but the goal is to release. Whatever you've got that's still eating on you can now be noticed. And you can see, am I really on the path of resolving this? If I can't resolve it, can I work toward just refining who I'm going to be about it? And if I've done everything I can do, can I just let it go? It's so much easier just to be in the awareness of that. Just being the noticer of all of this stuff grounds you in the soul that you are. Trick question, where's God? Everywhere. Is there anywhere God's not?
No.
Even beyond time and space, God is everywhere forever. Right? So, given that that is where God is, everywhere, where does God have to go?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Therefore, God operates in a place of stillness. So, guess where you are when you're being the noticer of all of that? You're with God. The way to access your own soul, your own divinity, is by being the noticer of what's not. It's so counterintuitive, no one even thinks about it. Brian, I can't meditate, I can't get my brain to sit still. You're not your brain. You're the soul sourcing the body that has a brain in it that's pumping out thought. In being the noticer of what your brain's doing, you are in stillness where you want to be. Accessing all divine knowledge and divine wisdom and divine power, and healthier, free of all the chemicals your brain would otherwise be generating. Just be. So much easier. Not simple, or not easy, but it's simple. You can do it. You can be the noticer. So, notice what you can notice, and be. And the more you notice, and the more you ground yourself in this place, the more you're accessing your own divinity. We are souls, occupying a body, generating thought, and with our brains that's in our body, it's just another vital organ. In the awareness of that, life gets a whole lot easier. I want you to sit in your chair, close your eyes, and be in your chair. Feel relaxed into the seat that you're in. Take a few deep breaths, and notice you're inhaling when you're inhaling, and notice you're exhaling when you're exhaling. Cool air in, warm air out. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Now I want you to go to your happy place, wherever that is. Is it the beach? Is it the mountains? Is it in the woods? Is it sitting in a room somewhere or a place you like to go? Take a few minutes and just bring yourself to that place. If there are sounds that you associate with that place, hear those now. If there are smells that you associate with that place, smell them now. Any other experience that you have of that place, feel that. Feel the feelings that you have for that place. Let them wash over you. Be in the wonder, the beauty, the love of that place. And just be there for a bit.
grateful that you have that place. Whether you may ever actually get to physically go there again, be grateful that that place exists for you. Know that you can go to that place anytime you wish. And if it's hard to calm your brain down enough to do that, take 3 deep breaths sometimes and watch your brain chatter slow down. It's always available.